Mrs. M'Deario Vanderplank by Nanny Linda. In Collywobble Lane at number 25, an interesting and friendly lady has made a very comfortable home. Her name is Virginia Vanderplank, and she resides there very contentedly, independently living on her own. She does have some companions though, 2 Great Dane dogs and 2 very large kitty cats. And the doggies' names are May and June, and the kitties are Moses and Max. Virginia Vanderplank is a very popular lady with her neighbours and has also made many friends who live in the village nearby. And she has coffee mornings and tea parties in the garden and a very large party on her birthday in July. Virginia has a nickname which was given to her by her nephew Joe, and it originated because she always greets everyone with, "Hello, M'Deario." If you should meet her on a dog walk and she asks you about your day, she can always compliment and match your story in quite an extraordinary way. Once she met the Bratson twins who were scrumping apples in the back garden of number 3, and she started telling them a story about when she was their age and she had fallen out of a tree. She had been climbing a very tall maple tree in Canada, where her daddy was an officer in the mounted police, and a broken branch had miraculously saved her fall, hitching in the hood of her fleece. Mr. My O'Leary just happened to be walking by, and overhearing the conversation just said, "My, oh my, oh my. I remember when I was young, while rescuing a kitty cat, I also fell out of a tree and had to be airlifted to a hospital with a broken arm, a broken nose and a dislocated knee." "Goodness," said Virginia, "I also once had a very long hospital stay when a boat that I was sailing in hit a pod of orca whales and sank out in the Hudson Bay. I was in the cold water for many hours, freezing and couldn't feel my feet or hands, but was helped by a passing friendly dolphin who towed me into land." When Virginia returned home from her walk, her nephew Joe was at her front door. "Hello, M'Deario," Virginia said. "I didn't expect a visit from you today. It's a lovely surprise, that's for sure." "Could I borrow your car, Auntie V? I've an interview in town later today, and my car won't start as the battery is flat, and the bus doesn't go that way." Virginia was in deep thought for a moment. "Yes, of course, Joe, that's okay," she replied. "It reminds me of the time when I worked as a ranger in Yellowstone National Park and I was stranded in the wilderness as my engine just up and died. Thankfully, I was rescued before the worst blizzard in 100 years struck, leaving me stranded in my Jeep, as it would have been a freezing cold night and I don't think I would have got any sleep." Later that day, Virginia was visiting a new friend she had recently made, a lady called Justine, and she was boasting to Virginia of her days as a local beauty queen. Virginia said, "I remember I wore a gold crown once when I was married to an African king." "Did you?" said a shocked and envious Justine. "Oh yes," Virginia laughed. "It was for a play that I was in and it was just a bit of bling." On Sunday, Virginia went to church and sat by Mr. My O'Leary, who was looking rather pale of face, and his eyes looked red and bleary. "A very good day to you, Mr. O'Leary. You're not singing with your usual zest and delight." "I'm a bit out of sorts today, Mrs. Vanderplank, as yesterday I had rather a fright. My 2 sons took me for a cable car ride as a special birthday treat, but the altitude sickness for which I wasn't prepared left me frozen to my seat." "A cable car ride? How exciting! I really don't mind heights," said Virginia. "I did a bungee jump when I lived and worked in Spain. Only planned to do it the one time, but then had to experience it again and again." "No more heights for me, Mrs. Vanderplank," Mr. My O'Leary said with a sigh, and he then decided he should perhaps go home to bed, so he left, mumbling, "My, oh my, oh my." Virginia watched Mr. My O'Leary shuffle out of church, hoping not to be heard or seen. He had looked so very poorly, his face being a sickly shade of green. which reminded Virginia of a time in her life when she had dated a tattooist named Sven, and he had tattooed beautiful green artwork on both of her arms, and her hair had been coloured by Adrienne. Virginia then went off to the local pub for her usual tasty Sunday roast, hoping that beef was on the menu because that was what she loved the most. It reminded her of the time that she worked as a cowgirl on a cattle ranch in Montana in the USA, herding up all of the livestock and riding horses out in the sunshine all of the day. Then in the still of the evening, cooking steaks around the open fire, barbecues and lassoing cattle. She was so sad when she felt she had to retire. Virginia then went home to England to live with her younger sister Dee, to help her raise her little boy Joe and be close to her family. So Virginia Vanderplank, this very interesting and quirky gentle soul, is a lady of worldly travel and has done and experienced far more than you will ever know. So you should never underestimate the mature people that you meet, as knowing Mrs. M'Deario Vanderplank would be such an interesting treat.